The UK grooming gang scandal is a harrowing tale of abuse, a dark chapter in the nation's history that has left an indelible mark on society. It unfolded in several towns across the UK, each with its own tragic stories and victims. Places like Rotherham, Rochdale, and Telford became synonymous with these horrific crimes, forever altering their identities. The perpetrators were predominantly British Pakistani men, a fact that added layers of complexity to the public discourse. They targeted vulnerable young girls, often from disadvantaged backgrounds, exploiting their innocence and trust. These men used their positions of power to exploit and abuse, manipulating the system to their advantage. The crimes included grooming, trafficking, and sexual abuse, a trifecta of horrors that devastated countless lives. The scandal sent shockwaves through the nation, igniting public outrage and demands for justice. It exposed deep-seated failures in the system meant to protect children, revealing a web of negligence and oversight. These were not isolated incidents but part of a broader, more disturbing pattern of abuse. The abuse was systematic and widespread, affecting numerous communities and leaving a trail of broken lives. It spanned decades, leaving countless lives shattered and communities in turmoil. The victims, often dismissed and silenced, carried the burden of their trauma, their voices finally emerging after years of suffering. The scandal shook the very foundation of British society, challenging its values and institutions. It forced a long-overdue conversation about race, religion, and the responsibility to protect the vulnerable, sparking debates that continue to this day. The scandal first came to light in the early 2000s, but its roots went much deeper, festering in the shadows for years. However, it took years for the true extent of the abuse to emerge, thanks to the relentless efforts of investigative journalists and brave whistleblowers. The authorities, including social services and the police, were accused of failing to act, their inaction contributing to the prolonged suffering of the victims. Some even suggested a deliberate cover-up to avoid accusations of racism, a claim that added fuel to an already raging fire. The scandal sparked outrage and disbelief, with the public demanding answers and accountability. How could such horrific crimes happen for so long, seemingly unnoticed? This question haunted the nation. The UK grooming gang scandal is a stark reminder of the dark side of society, a chilling example of what happens when vigilance falters. It is a story of exploitation, abuse of power, and the failure to protect the most vulnerable, a narrative that demands reflection and action. The scars of this scandal run deep, demanding justice, accountability, and a commitment to ensure such atrocities never happen again. The journey towards healing and reform is long, but it is a path that must be taken. Elon Musk, the world-renowned entrepreneur, is known for his bold statements and disruptive ventures. His influence spans across various industries, from electric cars with Tesla to space exploration with SpaceX. Musk's ability to captivate the public's attention is unparalleled, and his social media presence is a testament to his reach and impact. In 2023, he turned his attention to the UK grooming gang scandal, igniting a firestorm of controversy. This issue had been simmering for years, with many feeling that justice had not been adequately served. Musk's involvement brought a new level of scrutiny and urgency to the matter. Musk's weapon of choice was Twitter, where his massive following hangs on his every word. With over 100 million followers, his tweets have the power to shape public discourse and influence opinions on a global scale. His decision to address the UK grooming gang scandal on this platform was both strategic and impactful. He launched a series of tweets accusing UK authorities of a cover-up. These tweets were not just casual remarks, they were pointed accusations that demanded attention. Musk's direct approach left little room for ambiguity, making it clear that he was calling for accountability and transparency. He called out politicians, including then Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer, for their alleged inaction. By naming high-profile figures, Musk ensured that his tweets would not be easily ignored. His boldness in addressing such powerful individuals highlighted his commitment to the cause, regardless of the potential backlash. Musk's tweets were blunt and accusatory. He did not mince words, and his straightforward style resonated with many who felt similarly frustrated. However, this approach also attracted significant criticism, as some believed it oversimplified a deeply complex issue. He didn't shy away from pointing fingers, even suggesting that King Charles III should intervene. This was a bold move, as it brought the issue to the highest levels of British society. Musk's willingness to involve the monarchy underscored the gravity he attributed to the situation. He claimed that the UK prioritized political correctness over protecting children. This statement struck a chord with many who felt that societal norms were being placed above the safety and well-being of vulnerable individuals. Musk's critique of political correctness added another layer to the ongoing debate. His tweets went viral, sparking outrage and reigniting the debate around the scandal. The public's reaction was swift and intense, with social media platforms becoming battlegrounds for differing opinions. Musk's involvement had undeniably amplified the conversation, bringing it back into the public eye. Musk's critics accused him of grandstanding and using the sensitive issue for personal gain. They argued that his high-profile status allowed him to overshadow the voices of those directly affected by the scandal. This criticism highlighted the fine line between advocacy and self-promotion. They argued that his inflammatory language hindered rather than helped the situation. Critics believed that Musk's approach could potentially derail constructive dialogue and make it harder to achieve meaningful progress. The debate over his involvement became as heated as the issue itself. They pointed out that he lacked a nuanced understanding of the complex issue. The intricacies of the grooming gang scandal required careful consideration and expertise, which some felt Musk did not possess. This critique emphasized the importance of informed advocacy. However, Musk's supporters applauded his willingness to speak out. They saw his intervention as a necessary disruption to a stagnant situation. For them, Musk's boldness was a breath of fresh air in a landscape often dominated by cautious and calculated responses. They saw him as a powerful voice for the voiceless, challenging the establishment and demanding justice. Musk's ability to leverage his platform for social issues resonated with those who felt marginalized and unheard. His supporters believed that his influence could drive real change. Musk's involvement, regardless of one's stance on his approach, had a significant impact. It forced the issue back into the spotlight, compelling both the public and the authorities to re-examine their positions. The renewed attention brought by Musk's tweets was undeniable. It brought the scandal back into the spotlight, forcing the government to respond. The pressure from Musk's high-profile engagement meant that the authorities could no longer afford to remain silent. This response was a testament to the power of social media and influential voices in shaping public policy. It sparked a national conversation about accountability, political correctness, and the need for systemic change. The discourse extended beyond social media, permeating public forums, news outlets, and academic discussions. Musk's tweets had ignited a broader debate about the values and priorities of society. The UK grooming gang scandal left an indelible mark on British society. The victims, primarily young girls, suffered unimaginable trauma. Their childhoods were stolen, their innocence shattered. Many carried the physical and emotional scars of the abuse into adulthood, struggling with PTSD, addiction, and relationship difficulties. The scandal also deeply impacted the victims' families. Parents and siblings grappled with guilt, anger, and a sense of helplessness. The close-knit communities where the abuse occurred were torn apart by suspicion and distrust. The scandal eroded faith in the authorities tasked with protecting the vulnerable. The scandal had far-reaching societal implications. It sparked a national debate about race, religion, and integration. The fact that the perpetrators were predominantly of Pakistani origin fueled tensions and led to accusations of Islamophobia. The Muslim community, while condemning the crimes, felt unfairly targeted and stereotyped. The scandal also forced a reckoning with the issue of child sexual exploitation. It exposed the vulnerabilities of children in care and those from disadvantaged backgrounds. It highlighted the need for better education, awareness, and support systems. The UK government faced mounting pressure to address the grooming gang scandal. This issue had been simmering for years, with numerous reports and allegations surfacing about the mishandling of cases involving grooming gangs. Public trust in the authorities was at an all-time low, and the demand for accountability was growing louder by the day. Following Elon Musk's vocal criticism and the renewed public outcry, the government announced a £5 million fund. Musk's tweets had brought international attention to the issue, amplifying the voices of those who had long been calling for justice. The fund was seen as a direct response to the heightened scrutiny and the need to show that the government was taking action. This money was earmarked for locally led inquiries into the handling of grooming gang cases. The idea was to empower local councils and communities to investigate and address the specific issues within their jurisdictions. By doing so, the government hoped to uncover the root causes and systemic failures that had allowed such heinous crimes to occur. The Home Secretary, Yvette Cooper, pledged to implement the recommendations of the Independent Inquiry into Child Sexual Abuse, a wide-ranging investigation launched in 2016. Cooper emphasized the importance of learning from past mistakes and ensuring that such failures were never repeated. She assured the public that the government was committed to transparency and accountability. The government's response was met with mixed reactions. While some saw it as a positive step towards addressing the issue, others were skeptical about the effectiveness of local inquiries. There were concerns that these inquiries might lack the necessary resources and authority to bring about meaningful change. Some welcomed the funding and the commitment to learn from past mistakes. They believed that local inquiries, being closer to the affected communities, would be more attuned to the specific needs and concerns of the victims. This approach was seen as a way to rebuild trust and ensure that the voices of the victims were heard. Others criticized the move as a knee-jerk reaction to Musk's tweets, arguing that local inquiries lacked the scope and authority to uncover the truth. They felt that a more centralized and comprehensive approach was needed to address the systemic issues that had allowed grooming gangs to operate with impunity. They demanded a full-fledged public inquiry with the power to compel witnesses and access sensitive documents. Such an inquiry, they argued, would be better equipped to uncover the full extent of the problem and hold those responsible to account. The call for a more robust investigation was echoed by various advocacy groups and legal experts. The government maintained that local inquiries were best suited to address the specific circumstances in each town. They argued that a one-size-fits-all approach would not be effective in dealing with the unique challenges faced by different communities. Local inquiries, they believed, would be more flexible and responsive to the needs of the victims. They argued that these inquiries would be closer to the victims and communities affected. By involving local stakeholders, the government hoped to foster a sense of ownership and responsibility within the communities. This, in turn, was expected to lead to more sustainable and long-term solutions. However, critics argued that this approach fragmented the issue and prevented a comprehensive understanding of the systemic failures that allowed the abuse to occur. They warned that without a unified and coordinated effort, the true scale of the problem might never be fully understood, and justice might remain elusive for many victims. The debate over the government's response highlighted the complex challenges of addressing the grooming gang scandal. It underscored the deep divisions within society about the best way to tackle such a multifaceted issue. The discussions in Parliament and in public forums reflected the diverse opinions and emotions surrounding the scandal. It underscored the need for a delicate balance between addressing the concerns of the victims and communities while ensuring a fair and impartial investigation. The path forward was fraught with challenges, but the hope was that through continued dialogue and commitment, a just and effective resolution could be achieved.